You might come from a reality of privilege, but then, yes, if you have to lead a team and inspire a team of people who can be where they are, first you have to break the taboo of bringing your authentic self at work. It's not victimizing, and therefore, if you create that safe space where people can show up authentically, nothing better as a leader. And I think today, when I talk about mirroring these two aspects, uh, empathy perhaps is as important as decision making. Uh, Honesty is perhaps as important as being diplomatic where you're required to be. And from that lens, again, I'm shifting gears and talking about perhaps something that is very, very different. We talk about technology all the time. I have been associated with a technology company now for almost 12 years in one form or the other. People say technology is gender agnostic. But the larger question is it? Because by the end of it, today, when we talk about automated decision making, today, when we talk about artificial intelligence, today, when we talk about people being reduced to a data point and a data form, there is an impact on what was the data being fed. And again, this might not be new, this is a very old anecdote, but I love quoting this anecdote. Amazon about 4 or 5 years ago said that we receive thousands of applications in a day. We are going to zone down our applications on who should move to the next level basis an artificial intelligence algorithm. The first level was surprised to even the Amazon management because they rejected anybody who was a black, they rejected anybody who was a woman. And that is where they realized that the data of centuries, of decades, not centuries, data of decades prior to us favored a certain stereotype. How do you really break that mold? And it's not about, it's one thing to have a very esoteric discussion about what I bring to the table, but if I'm going to be judged against a very finite mold, which is not in my control, I might not even understand the rules of the game. And that is where I want to go and I want to shatter around the rules of the game. Having said that, that is where perhaps a more responsible, I think the first step is really acknowledging that there is a problem. I think 5 years ago, I never acknowledged there's a problem. And I'll go back to ma'am, something that you mentioned that was very, very interesting and something that really touches something I've been advocating for with or without the professional badge that I wear is we talk about the urban-rural divide. We talk about perhaps the access to digital media might have decreased. But what about the liberty still? I think there still exists the gender gap and very, very blaringly in everybody's face where today, even when a girl child has a phone to study, it would be monitored very often by the male member of the family. Whether the girl child should have a device for 1 hour, 2 hours, or 4 hours, that would be determined by typically the male in the family. There are very few women who continue to have that autonomy. And I think that is where a lot of balance needs to be struck. Again, change is happening, and I think all of us in our individual capacities are really gunning for that change. We are really, and again, an argument I picked up from one of the Instagram reels, and this is a vegan influencer who's talking about it's not about shooting anybody who's not following or somebody who's not checking off all the 100 boxes on sustainability. Even if somebody is checking 1 or 2, we need to build in that appreciation, we need to build in that acknowledgement and then move further. And that is where I feel institutions are making a difference. Institutions are making a change, at least if nothing else. It's a very, very personal anecdote. And I typically refrain from personal anecdotes, but since we're talking about the AI, since we're talking about not really talking about empowerment, but really bringing your authentic self, I started interviewing for the firm that I'm working with when I was 7 months pregnant. By the time they made the offer, I think the first instinct that I had was, let me not tell them I'm pregnant. Of course, post-COVID times, everything was virtual. I could easily pass on to any of the interviews without. And I realized, okay, 8-9 rounds down the line, somewhere my fear, despite of everything that I've spoken about, was, what if they find out I'm pregnant and they don't extend the offer? I really want to know, will I be rejected basis meritocracy? or will I be rejected basis pregnancy? And when it was 8 to 9 rounds, I spoke with the hiring manager again, and her reaction was, "You actually set up this call just to tell me this?" And I'm like, "This is material because I'm not going to be there for the first 6 months after I join in." I'd heard, I'd never, to be honest, I've only heard about one case, and that also when the person actually just got pregnant after joining the workforce. Not only did the organization never discriminate against me in terms of hiring, but to ensure that there's no pressure while I'm away on the 6 months maternity break that is enshrined under the maternity law. They did every single thing in their power to not make me feel diminished even when I joined back. And while a lot of people say, yes, but that's the right thing to do, I heard that, I heard about this, or for that matter, I heard this retort from so many friends, but that's the right thing to do. There's no such thing as a call out here. I've also seen cases where women have not got promoted just because they went on a maternity break. I've seen cases where women have not got promoted because they just got married, and suddenly the question about your fidelity to the organization might come into fray. But, and that is what I'm saying, the times as and when they change, there would be few beacons that are going to lead that path, and it's important to join on to that bandwagon. It's important to be the cheerleader for what you feel is right. Having said that, in the same realm, the other day, and this is actually a ministerial conversation where they said, okay, is room mein 15 logo mein se, we have 12 male leaders, we have 3 women leaders. We should focus on diversity and we should get more leaders on board. I actually was offended by that statement. I'm like, please don't get people on the board because they are women. Please get people on the board because they are able. And just by stating this, are you saying that the 3 women who are there, we are here just because we check a box? Mm-hmm. Or do you actually value the ability that we bring? And to the goodness of the committee chair, and I must call this out, this person actually took the feedback there and then. We changed the way that conversation was structured from a chairman to a chairperson, not a chairwoman or anybody, but he also took the pain of elaborating on why he said what he said. And he was like, to me, everybody has to be a champion of diversity. So if today I have 3 people who have equal skill, equal merit, I would favor a woman. That is what I meant. I'm sure other people in the room did not really mean that, but what gets voice, like you said, is what forms shape. And to me, that is complementarity.
Wow. How nice. We should give them a big hand, both of them. So, what is the time situation?
Yeah, we are. 4:49. Yeah.
So we close?
Yeah, ma'am. We will have the next session that way.
So this we close, right?
Yeah,
that's what I meant. Yeah, no, you can.
So much.
Just with a quick
please,
note
continue.
to say that I think firstly, good topic to choose. I think this is every conversation that we have about this is more important, and I think to have multi-generational conversations. I am a big believer of that because our workplaces are multi-generational, our families are multi-generational, and our society is inherently multi-generational. So I want to request Surabhi, you, Raghav, next time we have more younger people also. I mean, we are all young only, but younger people, younger students also in the room, because I think the strength that they can get from the stories that are shared, I think that is that could be a good seed to sow. So that is a request. And Deepakji, Deepakshi, yeah. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am. There is a lot of talk about STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, which got expanded into STEAM. We felt like to immortalize the role of Stree Shakti, to expand Stree as science, technology, research, engineering, and entrepreneurship. And our next session, which we will be requesting Professor Dr. Balvinder Shukla ma'am, the Honorable Kulpati at the MIT University, which has now expanded to be a transnational edu brand of India. And her campus had been a kind of an influencer to make it happen. Spearheading Stree by Stree Shakti. Now, instead of calling STEM, perhaps we can use the term Stree, science, technology, research, engineering, and entrepreneurship. So, Professor Dr. Balvinder Shukla ma'am to preside over this next session. And also, we have with us Professor Richa Chopra ma'am, who is the core faculty and at the center of excellence in Indic knowledge traditions, to also from at IIT Kharagpur to also join in for this session. Yeah. So, coming from an highly technological institution, how Indic knowledge system, the integral part of it all. So, Professor Richa Chopra, ma'am. And also, I would like to welcome Madam Deepa Narayan Bharadwaj to also join in and give her perspectives. So, So over to Dr. Balvina Shukla ma'am to drive this deliberation transcending from STEM to Stree and how the Stree Shakti can really lead it across. Dr. Shukla ma'am.
Um, the first of all, I would like to thank for inviting me. See, when you have chosen this topic, I would like to really compliment because this topic is very close to my heart. The first thing that somehow or other there was myth about that the female can do only certain things. But today when we see, I think the female are no lesser than the male. Rather, I would say the more than, and that's what I tell my students. The girls students, don't try to compare yourself with the male because you are already, much higher than them. Because if you go historically, before the invaders came to India, I think women were always at the higher pedestal. The modern outlook which in the historical times happened. Why the women started being at home, being educated at home. What the reasons, historical reasons. But once we got independent again, slowly the education started, for the women also. The girls started going to the school, the engineering colleges, medical colleges, and that's how. So today when we look at, I'm with the Amity University. There was time when we had very few students in engineering college. Today I see that I have more computer scientist girls than the boys in the class. I have got more physicists, biologists, pharmacists than the male. The psychology, and when you look at it, you will find the 90% psychology is dominated by the girls. There's some, but the science technology, I've got when I look at the faculty, I've got 51% of the female faculty and 49 are the male faculty. Same way I've got when I look at the students, same or 50-50 male and female. And when I look at the research in the university, the maximum patents filed are by the female faculty, female researcher than the male. Maximum technologies which have been transferred are by my female colleagues than the male colleagues. So I do not at all differentiate that who is better. Okay, I only see that what environment you give. It's all depends on the environment, and you can flourish in that environment. We do not differentiate anybody on the gender basis because that is not the way to. You have to see what is the talent. Because education institutions are only based on the talent, because you are developing the next generation who have to take the leadership role in any discipline, whether it's a defense technology or whether it is the computer science or space science or anything, or you take even the arts, humanities, social sciences, because they, whether the STEAM or whether the arts, humanities, social, they all complement. I do not say that one discipline is better than the other discipline, because I always, whenever I address my student, I say, you have to work for the societal needs. So if you have to find the solution for the societal needs,